Today we have the third international speaker, Professor Akira Wada. I just go through the short version of his CV. Dr. Akira Wada is Professor Emeritus of Tokyo Institute of Technology and is the recipient of the 2001 Fazlur Khan Lifetime Achievement Medal. He's considered to be Japan's leading expert in structural engineering with a specific focus on seismic structural design, base isolation, and damping. Dr. Wada's contributions to the field of science and technology and connections in Japanese academic and government circles make him uniquely qualified to lead and consult on a wide variety of projects. Since becoming professor at the Tokyo Institute of Technology in 1989, Dr. Wada has held a number of important positions, including serving as a president of ANCR and chairing the CTBUH, which means the Council of the Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat, Japanese chapter, since its formation in 2010. In 2014, he was elected president of the Japanese Seismic Isolation Association, and he's also served as a president of the Architectural Institute of Japan, or IAJ, 2011 until 2013. It's a very big pleasure to have you here, Professor Wada-sensei, so please go ahead, and we'll listen.
Thank you, Professor Stefano Pampanin. Thank you. And they invite me, thank you very much, Professor Davis Whitaker. Thank you. I'd like to discuss about seismic design of big cities. Japanese structures sometimes discuss only the building he designed, but we have to consider the total city. But before discussion of structures, just 6 years ago, Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant broken. Now more than 100,000 people cannot return their hometown. What human being did or do is always smaller than nature. But some people misunderstand the human being did is stronger than nature. This is a mistake. And there are many researchers and research field earthquake itself or active fault building or some medicine or something, but we didn't discuss together over the fence. The nature is continuous, but the human discussion, there are many gap. This is the reason why the nuclear power plant broken. And start to discuss earthquake disaster from 1891. Japan opened the world 1867, almost 23 years after Japan opened the world. Very big earthquake hit around Nagoya city. These building houses constructed in before 1876, very weak. And these bridge will be designed by English engineers. But there is no earthquake in England. And 1923, Kanto earthquake hit Tokyo. Very severe fire after the earthquake. And the tall building, also this is brick structure, very brittle. And many people bring them their material to the big park. But after that, very severe fire come here. All people were killed by the fire. And more than 100,000 people were killed. And I was born in January 11, 1946, half a year after the end of the Second World War. Almost all building was burned down by the Second World War. This war killed more than 3 million people. I think in China or other country, more people were killed. Because I said always peace is important. And 20 years after Second World War, but there were the strict rule, building height must be smaller, less than 31 meters. All buildings, the height is 31 around downtown Tokyo. And in 1968, I was 22 years old. I graduated from university. The plate tectonics theory was approved, and the Tokachi earthquake happened. There are many new reinforced concrete buildings they built after Second World War, but many reinforced concrete buildings were collapsed. And the first tall building, taller than 100 meters, was constructed. The plate tectonics, as you know. And this photo is not beautiful, but this building is very new at that time. But the hoop, this distance is 25 centimeters. Very few hoops shear failure happened, many buildings. And this also same year, the Kasumigaseki building was constructed. 1968 is very important year in Japan, under me. And 2 years after I graduated from the graduate school, and I was a structural engineer in Nikken Sekkei, and our group developed this eccentric brace. And 2 or 3 years after, Professor Takanashi visited University of California, Berkeley, and before Professor Popov, he explained our research. And after that, Professor Popov started this idea. I think all of them didn't know. Please remember. And the next year, San Fernando earthquake happened. And in 1987, just 30 years ago, before, we developed buckling restraining braces with the engineer of Nippon Steel. This is the first 5 test specimens. Left side 3 specimens were not buckled, but 2 right-hand side is buckled. Euler buckling load is larger than the yield strength of core member. 1.5 times stronger is okay. And 1995, Kobe earthquake happened. 1891, Nagoya earthquake, that steel bridge designed by English engineers, but this was designed by Japanese engineers. Japanese engineer is also not good. Please. Many old wooden houses were broken, almost same as 1891. And the reinforced concrete building. This building has no shear wall around the street, the torsional displacement. And there are many brittle structure in Kobe. And 22 years ago, almost all people has not a cellular phone. The Japanese telephone company prepared a free phone. They call to their relatives. But now we have a cellular phone, but traffic, the telephone company controls the line of the telephone. We cannot use in the disaster area. Not useful in the just after the earthquake. And many garbage was produced by the earthquake. All trucks bring the structural materials. And this building, designed by new design code, we changed in 1981. And this building is not so old at that time. You can see the bending crack, flexural crack, the both end of the beam, and some cracks, X-shaped cracks in the joint. And the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seven. At the seven is a roof beam, two beam and one column. So there is no crack in the beam, but crack happened the top of the six-story column. And another story, many cracks around the both end of the beam. And this is expected by the researcher and the engineer. Perfect. No one killed by this building. But after that, they demolished this building, same as Christchurch in 6 years ago. And there are many buildings, some which has some damage, demolished. And the demolish money coming from the government. This is not a good system. If the owner have to pay the demolish money, they will make more strong building. But in Christchurch, the insurance company pay, but in Japan, government pay. And more than 6,000 people were killed. And 6 years ago, just after Christchurch earthquake, the East Japan Great Earthquake happened. Very severe tsunami come. This building is a 12-story steel reinforced concrete apartment belonging to the Sendai city. The building is almost perfectly okay, but non-structural wall has many cracks. And during the earthquake, the many very large sound will happen. They don't want to leave this apartment after the earthquake. And Professor Sanada checked all cracks around the building. X1, X2, X3, there are column. And between x1, x2, this is a little wider than the column depth. This is a non-structural wall. Non-structural wall has not much reinforcement, so and a little wider than the column. Many cracks from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 story, but the column, the first or to third story, and there are many cracks in the beam, weak beam and strong column structure. And west frame, there are many complicated non-structural wall, many cracks. And after that, this building also demolished. The owner is Sendai City. Sendai City pay. This is okay. And Sendai is about 400 kilometers northern part from Tokyo. This fire happened in very close to Tokyo. Very dangerous. Oil factory. And in Tokyo, many people were working, and they want to return to their houses, but many traffic train system stopped. They stay the one gymnasium of the university. And about 20,000 people were killed this earthquake. And just 1 year ago, southern island of Japan, Kyushu, Kumamoto earthquake happened. About 200 people were killed by this earthquake. I showed the wooden structure was collapsed in 1891 earthquake, 130 years ago. But just last year, wooden structure was broken. And reinforced concrete city hall also broken. This is a hospital, shear wall, not so big cracks, but the doctor in hospital or nurse didn't know this crack is okay or not. This hospital, there are 300 inpatients, but patients don't like the furniture fell. So doctor decided all 300 inpatients moved to another hospital. And in yesterday and the day before yesterday, you discussed about not only structure but also function. But function will be okay, but the people don't like to stay in this hospital. And this is after they refuse. But two of them clear the bed, but one person he don't like to stay there. He refused just after the earthquake. No, not clean up the bed. If you are hospital and earthquake come, please clear the bed and take out from the hospital. This is a manner. And the next earthquake will come to Tokyo. When magnitude 7.1 or 7.3 come, more than 23,000 people will be killed. and the collapsed building is 610,000, and the total damage is 95 trillion yen, and the people difficult to return to home. It's 8 million. I think the population of the Christchurch is smaller than 8 million. So, very, I cannot believe why many people are living in Tokyo. This photo showed by the Al Gore. 150 years ago, no electricity, dark in the night. But in Tokyo, many people are living. And after the earthquake, electricity will stop. Perfectly dark city, very dangerous. And there are many buildings, but not perfectly okay. And the daytime, many tall buildings, the river, and sometimes it's not a big tsunami will come, but the tsunami will come. But our seismic design procedure, only human life to be safe. Building cannot use after any repair. They want to demolish the damaged building, and no continuous use. But we cannot make our city sustainable and resilient against big earthquake. We need to change our seismic design concept. This photo gave Professor Steve Mahin gave me, but Steve Mahin pick up this photo from the internet. This is not legal. But designed to protect life in extreme event, but the damage is expected. The car design concept, this is okay. Human life is okay, and he can buy new car by the insurance money. But our seismic design concept is almost same as a vehicle. Protect life in severe earthquake, but the damage of so many buildings are expected. The Christchurch is the same situation. 2/3 buildings were collapsed, demolished. This procedure is not good, I think. Next, new seismic design. The human life have to be safe is okay. Building can use after some repair, and continuous use just after earthquake, some of buildings. And against small and medium earthquake, H, B, and C easily. Against big earthquake, we have to satisfy H and B. In some case, we want to satisfy the continuous use. And we have many new technologies just discussed in this conference. Seismic isolated, passive controlled, and stepping column, and the elastic joint of pre-stressed concrete structure. And in this conference, there are many new young researchers. They will make more good system. But 1,300 years ago, Shosoin built. This building supported by 40 timber columns. These columns standing on the stone, very stone, large stone, and this column is not through the building, stop and beneath of the building. The height is 2.3 meter, and the diameter is about 60 centimeter. If and the stress of the column is very small. When earthquake come, the column rocking like this, the superstructure will move up any direction, almost same as a friction pendulum. And in these 1,300 years, no earthquake damage. This is one of original of seismic isolation. First, the day before yesterday, the history of seismic isolation. This is more than older than this, but at that 1,300 years ago, there was no internet, so this carpenter didn't know what the Turkey people or Iran people did. All technology will be original, I think. And when I retired our university 6 years ago, just before retired, I and Professor Toru Takeuchi designed this 20-story steel building on the seismic isolated system. There are 16 isolators. The 4 corner we use stepping system. And 6 years ago, Tohoku earthquake, we recorded only one time stepping up. This is under construction. Very slender tall building on the seismic isolation system. And there are many steel braces, but this is not BRB. This brace for the stiffness of the structure. This brace is very large. You can see 5 or 6 workers. And many engineers and researchers discuss in this conference damage controlled structures, passive control structures. But I wrote this figure in 1991, 3 years before Northridge earthquake. The primary structure must be inelastic, plus seismic members. We can use BRB or one other damping system. I don't know the name of this bone, but when the young boy broke this bone, but his life is okay. This is some kind of damping system, sacrifice of the human body. And the same as the bumper of bus and the fuse of the personal computer. And as I already explained, this BRB is very good for the sacrifice member. We started to design this right-hand side 3 buildings before Northridge earthquake. 1990 we started. there are many BRBs around the building, under the perimeter frame. There are many BRBs. At that time, we call unbound brace. You can see the BRBs. And the horizontal axis is a ground motion. Left-hand side very small, right-hand side very extremely big. And the vertical axis damage or repair cost of the building. Ductile frame structures, easy to block. And the strength-oriented structures will be better. And the passive control structures. And the seismic isolated structure, if very big earthquake come, some damage will happen. There are many buildings downtown. If all buildings were designed by ductile frame structure, in Japan, seismic intensity 7 is maximum. Many buildings will have some damages. If all buildings were designed by strength-oriented structures, little small number of the building will have damages. Ductile frame is more not good, but the strength-oriented is a little good. And all buildings were designed by passive control structures. Magnitude intensity 7 or 6. Some of them we have to change new damper, but many buildings will be okay. And this is a little optimistic, but all buildings were designed by seismic isolated. All buildings will be okay, but there will be some good, not good engineer, poor engineer design seismic isolation building. Some of them will have some damages. More than 400 years ago in Tokyo, very few people are living. Every 50 years, many people living around Tokyo. And when big earthquake come in these next year or 30 years future, they will killed by the earthquake. And too much concentrate to big city, but the building and the train system is not perfect, very fragile, and too much personal rights, and so this is not good system, I think. People have to return to their hometown, and the big city have to be more strong. The Galileo Galilei, about 400 years ago, small animal, dog or something, has a very slender bone. This is okay. But when the elephant or big animal has the big bone, the weight of the animal, the 10 times big animal, the total weight is 1,000 times, but the sectional area is only 100 times. So we need more large bone. When we make a big city, the total volume of the big city is very large, but the surface length is like this. If we divided the 4 small cities in Tokyo, the surface length can 4 times. So we just after the earthquake, we need water, food, and many things. But the surface length is very important. And for sustainable and resilient country, we have to spread out all around Japan. As you know, Japan is very beautiful country like New Zealand. But in around Tokyo, 35 million people, 1/4 population living in Tokyo. To concentrate, I think. And I am 71 years old, but just 5 or 6 years old, Professor Tom Poley has sabbatical leaves, and he was staying in University of Tokyo. I studied under him the capacity design, and before him, Bob Park, I bought his book, and Nigel Priestley I met in University of California. I respect 3 famous professors. I am very happy to present here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Wada Sensei. If we have some questions. It's interesting to look at the Japanese perspective, please, and seeing the bigger picture of cities designs, not only. Please.
Thank you very much for your very interesting and very inspiring presentation. And you raised a very important topic of sustainability of big cities or growing towns. And that's one of the biggest problems, I think, in many developing countries. The cities and towns are growing so rapidly, and I see there's a big problem of sustainability that you raised. To me, is it a development policy problem? Because we know earthquake engineering has its own limitation, as you mentioned. So basically, it goes back to the development policy and development strategy of the nation as a country or globally. Should we rethink the global development policy? Thank you.
Yes, I agree you. Before I came here, I checked the dictionary. Many people like a fire, but I want to bring wet towel to the fire. Japanese people, when there was no earthquake damage in Tokyo, almost 93 years. But I bring wet towel to the policy people.
So do you think that there is a discussion in Japan about changing the urban planning or thinking? No, it's not happening.
They developer make tall building, on the reclaimed land. They like money.
There will be so many questions that we could ask about enforcement in Japan, for example, of existing buildings retrofitting. Do you have a compulsory, a mandatory law to assess and retrofit buildings to improve?
I think almost any city, not only Japan but also New Zealand, just after the earthquake, road street system is very important. But the main street, but there are many old buildings in Tokyo, and the building fell down. The traffic system cannot active. So in Tokyo, the building standing at the main street must have to be retrofitted.
Other questions from the audience? Curiosity? If not, I really thank again Dr. Wada Sensei to come over and give a perspective from Japan. Thank you very much. From New Zealand.